Good morning, all you tech-minded birds of a feather. It is March 17th, 2023, 9 a.m. straight up. I'm going to get an audio check here. Let's see, I guess I can show myself unmuting this. Let's see, I guess I can show myself. I hear that right there. I'm going to start right off the bat with pointing out a YouTube anomaly. No, say it isn't so. YouTube's not consistent. I thought YouTube was consistent all the time. No, we're going to go straight to an anomaly because it's the first chat message that some of you don't see right now, I suspect. When I come over here to this monitoring screen, we see Nick Poverman at 6:42 a.m. my time. So that was 2 hours and 18 minutes ago, if I did that math quick enough correctly in my head. He says, "What's Irish and sits outside in the summer? Patio furniture." Now, if I come over to this other monitor, you're looking at monitor number 1 right now. If I go to monitor number 3, I have another monitoring screen, and you don't see Nick's comment at the top. It's just not there. So what up? What up, YouTube? So here's what I know about this, and I've seen this before, is the first chat screen that I showed you. I called that up on my computer after the Fortnite game this morning. So that was about 15 minutes after 8. So 45 minutes ago. I had my macro thing that calls up all my screens, brings up 2 monitoring screens for me. One of them I drag over to monitor number 1. When those came up on monitor number 3, when those came up on monitor number 1, they both had Nick's first chat message. I dragged one of those over to monitor number 3 about 15 minutes, well, let's see, yeah, about probably 8:45, maybe between 8:30 and 8:45. When I dragged it over there, it lost that first comment. So I'm going to say comments before a certain amount of time. When you refresh the page at some point prior to the show going live, you lose it. Some of you right now, depending upon when you opened the screen for my show this morning, are still seeing Nick Poverman's 6:42 a.m. Well, 42 minutes after whatever hour was 3 hours ago. So take your current hour, subtract 3 from that, add 42 minutes. Some of you see that comment from Nick Poverman that says, "What's Irish and sits outside in the summer? Patio furniture." So give me in chat, just I see it, I don't see it. I see it, I don't see it. Or you can say I see Nick, or I don't see Nick. Now, Nick is probably, no, he hasn't made any other comments. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, what happens when I pop out chat on this monitor number 1? Do I lose that? I think Brian Lightfoot is safe. So I'll pop out chat there and maximize it. And see there, Nick is gone, but Brian Lightfoot is still present. So I'll zoom that up. And he says, the Blarney Stone has lost its power. Now it's just a shamrock. And Brian, it ain't over till it's clover. By the way, when I played Fortnite this morning, I wasn't wearing this shirt. Dennis pointed out to me that today's St. Patrick's Day. So sometime between ending Fortnite and starting this stream, I went and changed shirts. So I'm wearing a green shirt to honor and recognize the day. Geez, weather outside is frightful, more like a day in January in the Great White North, from Greg M. Brian says, your weather might be frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Of course, that's a play off of a Christmas song. If I have a fire in here, I have bigger issues. This is the retort from Greg. Brian Lightfoot, today is St. Pat's Day, so check out the Google logo today and click it for a little surprise. The Google logo does have surprises at times, so let's see. Yeah, here's the Google logo. Click on it and see what we get. Oh, there it is. There's a surprise. Green confetti falling down the screen. Greg says, "Sigh, I see Brave Browser has a VPN for $999 per month." No, $9.99 a month. That is cross-platform. Trying another revenue stream, I guess. Sigh. So that would mean Brave browser on your mobile device or your Apple computer or your Windows computer. Nick Poverman, why did the Scarecrow get an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. And Greg, we'll get my Slaylaw out today in case someone tried to steal my green beer. Is that Slaylaw out today in case someone tried to steal my green beer. I don't know what Slaylaw is. Is there a correction from Greg M? Seldom ball morning. It's all 42 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Greg M. YouTube chat also has issues with emoticons. It strips out any preceding text in the line unless you put a space after the emoticon in the chat message. That's interesting. Testing. And then if I, without a space, click on the add reaction and then click on an emoticon and press enter. Does it strip out? Yeah, I didn't see that. Did I misunderstand it? Where were we at? YouTube chat also has issues with emoticons. It strips out any preceding text in the line unless you put a space after the emoticon in the chat message. Well, that didn't work for me, unless I misunderstood it. Don't. I see it's because I joined the stream before it went live. So, Wintermute does not see next comment. And did Greg say whether he does or doesn't? No. Oh, he says I see it because I joined the stream before it went live. Yeah, but if you joined the stream like at least 30 minutes before it went live, I think you'll see it. But if you joined the stream somewhere between 1 minute to maybe 30 minutes before the stream went live, I think you don't see it. Hi, Doug in chat. If I turn off timestamp, Nick's first post is visible. Really? Well, let's try that. Toggle timestamps. Nope, I don't see it by turning off timestamps. Turn timestamps back on. So that didn't fix it for me, but apparently it fixed it for Brian. Josh, hello to you, Josh. Slaylaw is Irish term for a club. All right, thank you. I had no idea. So I'm going to go check on that to become more edumacated. If I go over here and say, what is Control V, paste, Slaylaw. Slaylaw, a fixed stick of blackthorn or oak used in Ireland typically as a weapon. What does Slaylaw mean in Irish slang? You can use the noun Slaylaw to talk about a wooden stick used as a weapon, especially if you're in Ireland. So where does it... here. A Slaylaw is a wooden walking stick and club. Oh, I misunderstood what you're saying with club. Irish term for a club, as in something you would hammer somebody with. I was thinking as a social club, like a flying club. So no, it's a club for banging on people's heads to get their attention. Jeff Ryman, Nick's first post is not visible even though I do not have timestamps on. Greg M says you use a semicolon instead of a space for the emoticons. I think that's what is in reference to. Oh, butchered that sentence. Selden Ball, I believe the name of the traditional Irish weapon is pronounced something like Shillelagh. Shillelagh. I think that L-E-Y would be lay. Shillelagh. So this would be Shillelagh instead of the way I pronounced it. Hello, DougBetts. Doug, it was nice hearing you on Kerry's stream. Yes, for those of you who are members of Kerry Holzman's club, I was on his show yesterday by phone. And if you missed that, you can go to Kerry Holzman's channel, click on membership. And if you're a member of his community, you can play this stream from 19 hours ago which includes me talking with him on the phone during that show, in which I talk about that drive that I sent to $300 data repair and a significant portion of that experience. Well, why the client decided not to pay for the recovery at the end. And then we also talked about some other client stories. So if you enjoy Tales from the Trenches, there's some of that there too. Greg M., if you use say semicolon to use the wink emoticon. Oh, okay, so you can use, if I say hello and then semicolon, that alone shouldn't get the wink emoticon, does it? If you do, is it quote, semicolon, quote? Does that get the wink emoticon? No. I think if you were to search emoticons for semicolon, would that come up with the wink emoticon? No, it did not. Yeah, I don't know. I believe the name of the traditional I got that already, got that already. Thank you, Chris, for making me blue on your YouTube channel. From Josh to Chris Garrett. Shaylay Lee, correct. Shaylay Lee just giving me a confirmation that the second syllable is lay. Oh, wait a minute. He says sha a lot. Shaylay Lee. Shaylay Lee. Do people agree with that? Shaylay Lee. Was there a... Did this give me in Wikipedia? Did it give me a pronunciation there? This looks like Shil-a-lee. Shil-a-lee. Yeah, that looks like S-H-I-L. Boy, how many different versions can we have of the pronunciation? Just use semicolon without the quote. So, hello, semicolon. Yeah, that didn't give me an emoticon. The semicolon by itself means wink in an environment where you don't get emoticons. Hello, Mark Baggett. Then Seldom Ball wink equals semicolon followed by parenthesis. Okay, semicolon followed by right parenthesis. Yeah, that would look more like a wink, but it didn't get translated as a wink. Shill is better. Shillelagh. Shillelagh. Yeah, wow. Okay, so what do I got on the agenda to talk about? Go to channel comments. Got a few comments here. First one up from Jeff 21 hours ago. On the video about the chat room question, new printer won't print. That was Windows Daily number 176, which was yesterday. He says, installing firmware, let's zoom in a little bit there. Installing the firmware update utility may also let the manufacturer push an update to block or brick your printer if you use ink or toner that is not from the manufacturer. My assumption would be is if you then put in toner that is from the manufacturer, that the printer would work, and hopefully that would remove the bricking of it. Because these toners are now coming with chips, integrated chips, IC chips, microchips in the toner cartridge. Last time I got off-brand toner cartridge, I had to move the chip from the manufacturer's toner to the off-brand. That was such a pain. I did 1 out of 4 color cartridges and agreed with the client agreed with me. It's not worth it. We're going to just trash these toners, not even try to replace them, and order the manufacturer's toner, because by the time my client pays me to transfer that microchip, it's not worth it. And what other complications might there be down the road? Chris replies to that comment, yes, Jeff, that's true. I had that problem before on a very nice OfficeJet printer. Then on my new printer I ordered off Amazon, the picture showed the ink in an HP box like it was original. I get the ink and the box is not HP and the cartridges are not HP. Seller tried to get me to install a firmware update I said, no way, Jose. Yeah, I'm done with off-branded ink and toner, and I'm also frustrated with printers. I had to when I told the story yesterday about, or maybe I told it on Carrie's show yesterday about going to a client's office yesterday morning because they had a problem with a computer not being able to print to a printer. I had the impression from the phone conversation that it was a new printer. And I figured, okay, it's going to be one of these about subscribing to the toner refills and doing AirPrint and forcing you into using the app and all this stuff. Well, that's not what it was. That's not what it was at all. It was a computer that they've been using, and they're trying to print to Toshiba copier that's been there for a long, long time. And this computer stopped being able to print to that printer after a Windows update. So I fixed that. But my point in this story is that on my drive out there, I was thinking through this whole issue about printers. I'm very frustrated currently with purchasing new printers because they always want to force you into these subscriptions for buying ink and toner. One of my thoughts there is just, if you can't beat them, join them. Just go ahead and do it. I've done that with one client so far. The other option is search around trying to find a laser printer and an inkjet printer that just does a simple USB installation without any of the stuff about creating an account and wanting a credit card and resupplying the ink and stuff. And that might mean buying more expensive model printers. The lower end models, they're trying to make their money. The printer industry started a long time ago with the strategy of underpricing the purchase of the printer and making their money on the sale of toner and ink. And I think it has stuck them into an environment where they have mishandled managing expectations to where we expect inexpensive printers. And so they're trying to keep the price of the printers down. How do we make up for the ink? Because there's all these other ways that people can buy ink and toner. So they force you in. If you want to be able to print to the printer, then you have to sign up for this subscription for the ink. Now you can cancel it later, but that's just extra hassle. So one of my thoughts about managing expectations for clients is explain to them that the printer industry is just really messed up these days, and essentially printing is more expensive than we perceive it to be. I don't know. If anybody comes across LaserJet printers and inkjet printers, current models that can be bought new, that don't require subscriptions, don't require accounts, don't require wireless printing, I just want normal USB connections. All right, coming back. Where was I at? Did I finish Pineapple Road? No, I haven't got to Pineapple Road's comment here yet. On my video, Beware Restart, Stay Up to Date message from March of 2021. So that's a year ago. I recently found out that with Windows 11, Microsoft may start pushing the most recent version as a forced update starting a few months after the release of the new version. Microsoft is doing that with version 22H2, and here's the source of that opinion. And I think they will be doing that with Windows 11, every Windows 11 version going forward. Well, it's been my understanding for a long time with Windows 10, even before Windows 11 was a glimmer in Microsoft's eye. Well, we don't know when that was. Before Windows 11, before we were aware of it, okay? Forced updates to the new version, or a new version, had been happening. You could postpone updates for a number of weeks, and then you could keep postponing them 1 week at a time after that for a bit. But there did come a point where it was forced. You could not get around it. I thought that's been the case for quite a long time. And now the only way that you can really avoid getting the update is doing I'm not even sure if there's still some tweaks that you can do, but one method is to never connect to the internet. Of course, it's not, you're not worried about security then. And then Pineapple wrote on this, oh, does Ken have a show today? I'll go check. Instead of asking him, I'll go to customization here and redirect and see if Ken Stout has a show. Oh, no, Carrie, this is Friday. I'm going to redirect to Carrie's show. Glad I went and checked on that. Then coming back to finish up on my last comment, channel comment here. 1103. Oh, this is referring to 1103 in that video. If I click on that 1103, it'll take me right to that spot in the video. This is from yesterday. As long as the firmware update doesn't make the printer think it's a toaster. There was a microwave which received an incorrect firmware update, which essentially bricked it, and the manufacturer had to send people out to customers' houses to reload the factory firmware. I think the correct firmware update was supposed to be for a toaster oven, even though I'm not 100% sure, as it's been a while since I heard about this. Closing parenthesis. Oh, that was all parenthetical. So yeah, I think that's similar to Jeff's, who was it? Jeff's comment about, Chris's comment about resisting a firmware update, and Jeff was on saying the same thing. So several people saying that same thing. Yeah, if you do a firmware update, you want to be doing everything within manufacturer's specifications. All right. Coming back, here's my last highlighted comment. Nick, you have to hit spacebar, then the emoticon shows up, then enter. Okay, that makes sense. Hello, semicolon, parentheses, space. Bingo, bada boom. I have seen that before. I was aware of that. I just totally forgot about it because I don't use emoticons very often. So that clarifies that, and Wintermute does it. And Greg, right, Nick Poverman, I have a habit of typing text followed by a semicolon, left bracket, but no space. I wind up with only the wink icon, no text. You have to put a space right after the bracket. Oh, okay, so here, let's see, I'll go back to 9:15 after I test this. So if I do hello, then semicolon, parenthesis, space, does that wipe out the word hello? No, didn't for me. So I'm still not getting the same results. Your mileage may vary. I have a habit of typing text followed by a semicolon, left bracket. Left bracket? Don't you mean right parenthesis? But no space. Semicolon, left bracket. What's that going to do? Hello, semicolon, left bracket. What do you mean by bracket? The square bracket? Or do you mean the left angle? See what that did. No, nothing. All right, so I don't know what's up there. Jeff, I agree with Louis Rossman's rant that the printer manufacturers should not be able to lock you into their toner ink. Yeah, I would agree with that, but I understand my suspicion, almost belief, is that the whole printer industry got themselves into trouble when they went into that strategy of pricing the purchase of their printers below their competitors to get people to buy their printers, and then making their profit on selling the ink and toner. And that was in the days before we had such a widespread ability to buy non-manufacturer ink and toner. Then when that industry took foothold, the whole printer industry was in a fix because they couldn't make enough money to stay in business at the price they're selling their printers at. I think that is what's going on in that industry. And it just is really messy, unintended consequences. When you take a sneaky strategy for your business model, underhanded business strategy for your business model, it will come back to bite you in the future. And that's what has crafted my business strategy, which is different than many other tech support companies. For that very reason. And I'm very happy with the way my relationship with my clients has worked out. I have very, very little difficulties or struggles with my clients over the way that I charge for my services. If the bleeping printer manufacturers do not want to squeeze every last dollar out of their users and de-chip the carts in DRM, cartridges and DRM, whatever that is, whatever, I don't know. People are agreeing with each other. I feel like a rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. I'm late for a very important date. Hello, Jim. Good to see you. I tell people not to buy inkjet printers, get a laser printer and pay up front for the printer rather than pay for the ink repeatedly. But the same thing is true with laser printers. They sell them, I think, for less than it costs them to make them. And the laser printers are also chipping their toner. So my advice to clients as far as inkjet or laser, if you want to print in black and white, I always prefer laser, because the black ink, if they're not using it often enough, will dry out. And I find people struggle a little bit more with replacing the ink cartridges. If they want to print in color, then we can do laser color or inkjet color. And if they're not going to be printing in color like once a week, I would recommend that they get the laser color, even though it's going to cost more. Because the laser cartridges, I'm pretty sure, cost more than the ink cartridges. But then you got to compare how much printing you get out of the toner cartridges per dollar spent. And I've never done the math on all of that. That's just, it's a rabbit hole to figure that out. I think. I haven't really tried to figure it all out. But recommending a printer choice, I manage expectations with it. I explain to them the difficulties involving with choosing a printer, so that I basically get myself disassociated with, if they're unhappy with the printer, it's not my fault, because they can't say, look, it's the one you recommended. And I will give them some choices. I will discuss advantages and disadvantages, and I want to get them to make the choice. I don't want to recommend which printer to get, because it's such a gamble. I was going to use a different term instead of gamble, but you know me. I keep the language as family friendly as I can. I will never buy an inkjet printer ever again. I'd like to buy a printer that uses pencil and paper. That would be good. Or a ballpoint pen and paper. Well, no, that's not true. I have had plotters before that use pens to do their printing. Very expensive type of printer. From J. Cassandros. I can almost remember what the J stands for. I don't remember. I think it's Jim. Either Canon or Epson tank printers do not require branded ink, though the branded inks are reasonably priced. Well, that's a good point, because with the tank printers, you take a bottle of ink and pour it in. There's no way they can chip the ink. Well, I don't know, on a molecular level, can they chip ink in a nanoparticle level? I don't think they're doing that. And I have sold the tank printers to two different clients, thinking, and they were both clients who've had difficulties with printer satisfaction in the past. They didn't blame me for it, because I managed their expectations with those. Neither of them liked those printers. They both have since switched to a different type of printer. They did not like the tank printers. And there's no show to send you off to at 30 minutes after the hour, so I might go a little bit over time here. I'll just catch up with chat. Even the Epson EcoTank printers are no good. The ink dries up if you do not use it on a regular basis. I found this out the hard way. Yeah, so that would also be the case. I think they might not have as much pathways for the ink drying, but I have in the past created a script for doing a test print page and put it into Windows Scheduler so that it would automatically print one color page each week to keep it fresh. Santa Claus, DougBetts, St. Patrick's Day. Hello, Santa Claus. John Williams, good morning and sorry I am late. Had a rough night. Very windy and cold here in Madison. It's 25 degrees. John, I want to recommend for you, I've got an idea what might help you with that, is sleep indoors. Very windy and cold out here. If you would just sleep indoors, that might shield you from the wind and the cold. Yeah, obviously I'm kidding. Greg M. Epson saw the writing on the wall and changed their tune and came out with EcoTank printers, although you still have to print regularly with those printers to keep the ink flowing. You know what? It seems to me they were more expensive than the Epson inkjet printers, but I can't say that I directly compared that. But I think they might be pricing their printers more reasonably. Jim's calling squirrel on me for maybe the printer issue. Well, we're going down the lines that... Well, no, it's not what the chat room took us down. It was my story of my experience with a client yesterday. So, yeah, I don't think the printer is a squirrel. J. Cassandros. Pigment ink requires at least a page or two per week. Dry inks aren't happy with a page per week. Oh, I had not heard that proposed before. Now, it might also depend upon what your print job is. If it's a color test page, that print uses a lot of color ink. If you're just doing the Windows print test page, that's just a little tiny amount of color on the standard page test from a printer icon in control printers. So I think it probably need to specify how much color are you printing. DRM, Digital Rights Management. That's what he is referring to with the DRM comment here. If bleeping printer manufacturers did not want to squeeze every last dollar out of their users and de-chip the carts and digital rights management. I guess I don't know how that applies in printers. Selden obviously does. Enforcing copyright and license terms. Oh, okay. Enforcing copyright and license terms of using the printer. Forcing you to use their manufacturer toner and ink. Got you. Greg M. Color lasers are also required drum replacements more. Okay. I guess you're saying color lasers require drum replacements more often than black lasers. Inkjet printers don't have drums to replace, so I don't think that's ever an issue. Although you do have to print, you can replace a print head, the carriage. You could replace that, and I don't. When a printer gets to the point of needing a drum replacement or a carriage replacement, I tell my client it's time to just get a new printer. I have replaced those in the past, and then found something else about the printer is worn out by the time the printer needs those replacements. You might as well replace the printer. Daniel Emberley, I've seen articles suggesting the industry is planning a move away from lasers for energy and health, airborne chemical reasons. Interesting. That is the first that I've heard of that. The industry. Now, it might be some people in the industry, and it might not be a big enough move yet that it's actually going to happen. Because, like, for instance, getting rid of daylight savings time, that's been proposed many, many, many years. maybe decades, and it still hasn't happened. So just because there's some influences out there trying to accomplish some change doesn't mean it's going to happen. But what would that mean? Is they're only going to let us use ink, or is there some other something else coming up? Jay Cassandras, I've been told Eurozone printers are not ink restricted, meaning European printers they're not allowed to require manufacturer provided ink. Brian Lightfoot, just Google how to reset printer chip. There are replacement chips available for less than $10. Reset printer chips. So is that reprogramming or replacing the circuit boards in a printer? Or are you just talking about moving the chips from, this looks like a device to remove the chip from the original ink cartridge and then put it on the new one. When I did that on a laser printer, the instructions that I found for doing it did not work because the manufacturer's cartridges had changed the way that they secured the chip in the original toner cartridge. So I had to go searching again when I found that the first set of instructions I found were not still valid. I had to go searching again. I found some revised instructions. It was substantially more difficult to accomplish, and that's when I said, we're just not going to do that. A couple retracted message from Santa Claus. Brian, printers are getting more and more like Keurig coffee makers, requiring branded only products. Keurig coffee makers requiring branded only products. So is Keurig restricting you to use their own coffee cartridges? Not thinking of the right word. Greg asks, why did those two clients not like EcoTank printers? Do I know that? You know what? They were both women, 10 to 20 years older than me. Not that that alone means much, but I recollect that they both said, I don't like this printer. Did I ask them why? I don't honestly, I don't think I did. Oops. Squirrel was for emoji detour. Okay, very good. I'll grant you that. Jeff to Greg, fortunately my how far behind am I? Oh, not bad. Fortunately, my Canon monotone laser printer was purchased before all this vendor control Microsoft nonsense came about. Hey, I had one particular law office, at least two separate occasions, they needed a new printer. We knew they liked a particular model printer. They had it at a number of desks in their office. So I searched for and found used printer in one case, and I think the other one was refurbished printer of the exact model that they wanted. And it was very similar price, maybe even more expensive than buying a new printer. We didn't have a second thought about it. Yes, buy it. So buying a remanufactured printer or a refurbished printer or a used printer was actually going to cost more than buying a new printer. Easy choice. We said, yes, let's do it. And they're happy. Those printers are still in service. They've been going for quite a while. Jeff, some lasers actually use LEDs instead of lasers. You bought that printer at the right time. John says, I must be lucky. I have a brother printer that I've had since Windows 7 and still works great. Laser printer, I have used generic toner and factory toner, and they both work great. What I would give for an HP LaserJet 3 or HP LaserJet 4 even, but even I like the 3 better than the 4. That's very, very old. That was Windows 95 era, and I think that probably came out even Windows 3.1 was when LaserJet 3 came out, I think. I don't recollect. I think I do remember HP LaserJet 2. Roman numeral 2 and Roman numeral 3, Roman numeral 4. I think it was Roman numeral 4. Oh, I love those printers. Even back then, I knew I loved those printers. There are hidden service menus in printers that allow you to perform maintenance, etc. Jeff to Greg, one of my grandson's friends broke the hinge on that printer. Fortunately, I was able to buy a hinge kit and fix it myself on that older printer that he loves. Hello, Parker Morse. Nice to extend the life of a device. Hello, Ryan. Jim, exactly illegal to require branded ink in Eurozone. Sigh, I have heard. Jeff to Greg, I do use Canon branded toner cartridges, but I don't print a lot. And I always buy Amazon or ask Amazon for price match at Staples. I have a predisposition. I am still attracted to HP rather than Brother or Canon. I really got annoyed with Brother and their extra software that they install with their drivers from long ago. And I think Canon also, I'm not a big fan of. I like HP, but my preference for HP these days, with the models of printers that you can buy now, my preference is not justifiable. If a client wants or prefers a Brother or a Canon, I will not try to talk them out of it. Because if I do, and then they don't like the HP, it's Doug's fault. I will tell them that I have a slight preference for HP. Used to be a big preference. But I also tell them that the whole printer selection right now is just very frustrating. It's hard to find one that anybody winds up being happy with. I'm sorry about that. It's the way it is. I have had clients authorize me to spend more time, more of their money, searching out comments and reviews and details, looking at manuals, trying to find a printer choice that we might be happier with. Frustrating. Wintermute may be changed in the last year, but there was this in Europe 1 year ago. Go take a look at that. I know I'm into overtime. Canon tells customers to break its printer cartridge, digital resource manager, whatever that was, due to chip shortage. Oh, that's interesting. Was this particularly Europe? Digital rights management, that's the DRM again. Maybe I'll remember that, maybe I won't. First spotted by Boeing. That's not Boeing, is it? Boeing? That's not how you spell Boeing, the aircraft company, I don't think. Canon's European website instructing customers how to bypass its digital rights management protocol so people can keep printing. All right, I'm not going to read further through that now because I'm getting a little tired of talking. On these Windows dailies, on Saturdays I last longer, 2 hours before I get tired of talking. But on Windows Daily, I'm talking the whole time. I don't have people in Zoom. Epson has announced it will completely halt the sale and distribution of laser printers by 2026 due to environmental concerns. That's from Danielle. I'm going to do a Google search on that. I'll read up on that after the show. Epson phases out laser printers over sustainability concerns. Thank you, Danielle. I will go read that later. Essentially working too hard. Well, a HP guy for sure, always late to the party. Were you referring to me or yourself? You don't have time to respond to that question before I end the show, but I'm about to end the show. So if you're going to respond to that you're referring to yourself as an HP guy or me, I will be able to see it if you do it right now. I mean, right now. Here's my email address if you'd like to send a question for me to respond to during the Windows Daily episode. Tomorrow is Saturday, which means the show starts 2 hours later. Usually lasts about 2 hours long, and the Zoom session is open so people can come in and talk with their faces or just audio if they don't like their cameras on, and essentially working too hard says me. So you're saying that you are an HP person as well that I am. And I like HP all the way. Now you might not want to say that when Catherine Hauserman's around. We know she doesn't like HPs. And I'm fine with HP computers. All right, you can send an email to me asking questions that I'll respond to, or you can put a comment on any videos. I guess that's number 2. Or number 3, you can put a question or comment in chat room for me to respond to. Have a great St. Patty's Day, everybody. Catch you later. Goodbye.